Now, the Great Pyramid of Giza is probably the most stunning of all these ancient structures. And the stones are immense, and some of them were cut from a quarry that's hundreds of miles away. How do you think they did that?
Well, some of them, the granite in the Great Pyramid comes from more than 500 miles to the south.
Have you ever looked at the pyramids and wondered, how did they do it? How could humans thousands of years ago move stones weighing tens of tons, cut them perfectly, and stack them with such precision? And what if the story we've been told about pharaohs and workers with copper tools is only part of the truth, or maybe completely wrong? What if the pyramids weren't tombs at all, but something far older, built by a civilization far more advanced than we've been taught? Could there be hidden messages encoded in their design, pointing to secrets we've forgotten over millennia? Tonight, we're peeling back the layers of history to explore mysteries that mainstream archaeology doesn't want you to question. The pyramids might not just be stones on the desert, they could be pieces of a story that challenges everything we think we know about our past. Are you ready to uncover the hidden truth? To question history and see the pyramids in a way you never imagined? Then let's dive in. The Pyramid Mystery Uncovered. We've all heard the story. The pyramids were built by ancient Egyptians as tombs, using nothing but copper tools and hard labor. Tens of thousands of workers supposedly dragged massive stones across the desert, building the largest structures in the world. But what if that story is only half true, or worse, completely wrong? Graham Hancock believes the history we've been taught hides the real truth. He says the pyramids weren't built by the Egyptians alone, and he claims to have evidence to prove it. If he's right, everything we think we know about human history might need to be rewritten. Hancock isn't your usual archaeologist. He's a British journalist, not a professor or researcher. He made his name reporting on current events and global politics, writing for publications like The Times and The Economist. But in the 1990s, he turned his attention to something much older: forgotten civilizations, mysteries of ancient history, and stories mainstream archaeologists tend to ignore. His 1995 book, Fingerprints of the Gods, changed the conversation.
I've been writing non-fiction books about controversial subjects for many years now. I did a whole series of books on this subject, of which the best known was called Fingerprints of the Gods.
Hancock suggested that a highly advanced civilization existed long before the Egyptians, Sumerians, or Mayans. According to him, this civilization was wiped out in a global catastrophe, but it left behind knowledge and monuments. To Hancock, the pyramids are not just tombs. They are pieces of this lost civilization, handed down to later cultures. Since then, Hancock has written more books and appeared in documentaries, including Netflix's Ancient Apocalypse. Some people see him as a visionary asking the questions everyone else is too scared to ask. Others dismiss him as a troublemaker or pseudoscientist. But what makes Hancock fascinating is simple. He points out that the official story of the pyramids doesn't explain everything we see. And his biggest question is clear: who really built the pyramids? Most of us were taught that the Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2560 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. Tens of thousands of workers spent 20 years hauling and stacking millions of limestone and granite blocks. They used copper tools, ropes, and sheer human effort to build one of the largest and most precise stone structures in history. Sounds impressive, right? But Hancock isn't convinced. Not even a little. He believes this story doesn't just have small mistakes, it's fundamentally flawed. Let's start with the scale. The Great Pyramid has about 2.3 million blocks. Some of these stones weigh over 80 tons. Many granite blocks used in the inner chambers were transported from Aswan, more than 500 miles away. How exactly were these moved with sledges and copper tools, without wheels or modern machines? Mainstream archaeology suggests manpower and ingenuity, but Hancock and many curious minds find that explanation barely believable. Then there's the timing. If the pyramid was built in 20 years, The workers would have had to place a block every 2 to 3 minutes non-stop, 24 hours a day, without mistakes or delays. No holidays, no bad weather, no supply issues, just perfect, machine-like efficiency from a civilization that hadn't even invented the wheel. It doesn't make sense. Hancock also points out the lack of plans. A project this big should have left some kind of blueprints, sketches, or instructions. But there's nothing. Ancient Egyptians documented taxes, grain storage, and religious ceremonies, but not the construction plans for the pyramids. It's as if the structure appeared fully formed, already perfect. The tools are another problem. Copper chisels were supposedly used to cut hard granite, but copper is soft, and granite is extremely hard. Even modern stonemasons with diamond-tipped tools struggle to achieve the precision seen in the Great Pyramid. How could the Egyptians carve perfectly smooth chambers with just copper? Nobody has a clear answer, but Hancock raises the question. Inside the pyramid, there's another mystery. Most Egyptian tombs, even those of minor officials, are covered with carvings, hieroglyphs, and artwork. The Great Pyramid is completely bare. No inscriptions, no decorations, no record of ownership. Just massive stone chambers, empty and silent. For what was supposed to be a royal tomb, this is extremely unusual. Hancock suggests that it doesn't match Egyptian culture at the time. The alignment is also striking. The pyramid points almost perfectly to true north within a tiny fraction of a degree. Without GPS or modern tools, how could the Egyptians achieve such precision? Hancock sees this as evidence of knowledge far beyond what we think was available in 2500 BCE. Look at all of this together: the massive scale, the logistical challenge, the missing plans, the inadequate tools, the bare interiors, and perfect alignment. Hancock believes the official story doesn't just have holes, it's built on shaky assumptions. He proposes that the pyramids may not have been built by the Egyptians at all, but are remnants of a much older, lost civilization. The case for an older civilization. Now comes the most controversial part. Hancock suggests the pyramids may not be 4,500 years old. They could be far older. They might not have been built by the Old Kingdom Egyptians at all, but by a civilization that existed long before history began as we know it. This civilization may have had advanced knowledge, engineering skills, and possibly even global connections. Hancock isn't just guessing. He points to evidence from geology, astronomy, and archaeology itself. First, geology. Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist, studied the Great Sphinx and noticed deep vertical erosion on its body. Such erosion is caused by heavy rainfall, not desert winds. The problem: the Giza Plateau has been dry for at least 5,000 years. Rain like that would have occurred before 10,000 BCE, when the Sahara was green and wet. If the Sphinx is that old, the pyramids could also be part of a much earlier timeline. Perhaps the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids. They inherited them. They may have renovated them, added finishing touches, and claimed them as their own. After all, the Egyptians were known to restore and reinscribe older monuments. Astronomy provides more clues. The 3 pyramids of Giza are not randomly placed. Their layout matches the 3 stars in Orion's belt. But this alignment fits best around 10,500 BCE, not 2,500 BCE. Robert Bauval first proposed the Orion correlation theory, which Hancock expanded. If the pyramids were designed to match the stars, then someone with advanced astronomical knowledge existed thousands of years before the Egyptians. Then there's Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to 9,600 BCE. This site completely rewrites what we thought humans could do in prehistory. Massive stone pillars, carvings, and precise layouts were built by people who were supposedly just hunter-gatherers. There were no cities, no agriculture, no writing, yet monumental architecture existed. To Hancock, this proves that advanced cultures existed far earlier than textbooks admit. This connects to a major global disaster around 12,800 years ago. possibly a comet impact known as the Younger Dryas event. Sudden climate shifts, floods, and cold temperatures could have wiped out advanced civilizations. If true, it explains why history appears to start suddenly around 3000 BCE. The earlier civilizations were destroyed, leaving only fragments. The pyramids could be one of the few survivors. Hancock doesn't propose aliens. He's suggesting that human history is far more complex than we think. Civilizations may have risen and fallen multiple times. Knowledge could have been gained, lost, and passed down slowly. The pyramids are part of that story. Secrets of advanced technology and lost knowledge. If Hancock is right, then the next question is obvious. How were the pyramids built? Even if we ignore the debate about their age, there's something undeniably strange about the level of technology and engineering involved. The precision, the size, and the sophistication of these ancient structures make the official explanations, copper chisels, ropes, and sheer manpower, almost impossible to believe. Walk inside the Great Pyramid's chambers, and the mystery becomes tangible. The granite blocks in the king's chamber are cut so precisely that you could barely fit a razor blade between them. The edges are perfectly straight, the surfaces polished, and the placement flawless. These aren't rough boulders thrown together, they're measured and expertly shaped. Yet, according to the mainstream story, this was done with copper chisels and pounding stones. Modern experiments attempting to replicate the process show just how difficult it is. Carving granite with copper is not only slow, but almost impossible to achieve the smoothness and precision seen in the Great Pyramid. Then consider the sheer size of some of these blocks. At sites like Baalbek in Lebanon, there are stones weighing over 1,000 tons. The largest cut stone known in the world, called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, still sits in a quarry. No modern crane could lift it. How did ancient humans move stones of this size with the technology they supposedly had? Hancock suggests that either we are seriously underestimating their capabilities, or there was some form of technology that we no longer understand, a lost technique or knowledge that has disappeared from human memory. And Egypt isn't unique. Around the world, similar advanced construction appears. In Peru, at Sacsayhuaman, enormous stone walls are composed of interlocking stones precisely carved to fit together without mortar. These walls survive earthquakes even today, thanks to the clever angles and shapes used in their construction. Engineers today still study these walls and debate how they were built. Local legends even claim that the Inca didn't construct these walls, they simply inherited them. Hancock sees a pattern emerging across continents and centuries. From Egypt to Peru, from Lebanon to Southeast Asia, ancient builders seem to have shared a level of knowledge far beyond what we imagine. Stones were shaped perfectly, massive structures were erected with astonishing precision, and engineering skills appear consistent across distant cultures. Mainstream scholars often argue that these are coincidences or examples of parallel development, where separate cultures independently arrived at similar solutions. Hancock disagrees. He believes the level of consistency, precision, and scale is too significant to be purely coincidental. The same mysterious fingerprint, massive stones, precise placement, and flawless construction appears around the world, suggesting a global legacy of knowledge possibly passed down from a civilization that existed before recorded history began. Hancock's evidence: the smoking guns. Hancock isn't just telling stories. He points to tangible evidence, anomalies, and unexplained artifacts that challenge mainstream archaeology. Modern technology allows researchers to see what the human eye cannot. Satellite imagery, LiDAR scans, and ground-penetrating radar reveal structures beneath the surface that traditional excavation methods may have missed. Around the Giza Plateau, radar has shown underground chambers and anomalies that haven't been fully explored. Hancock suggests these might be older than the pyramids themselves, perhaps predating the Egyptian civilization that claimed them. Underwater archaeology adds another layer of mystery. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, divers discovered a massive stone formation that looks like a step pyramid, complete with platforms and carved features. Mainstream scientists argue it might be a natural formation, but Hancock, who has personally visited the site, believes it is man-made. If it is, it could be over 10,000 years old, dating to a time when sea levels were much lower and Yonaguni was dry land. Other submerged sites show similar patterns. The Bimini Road in the Bahamas, for example, consists of large flat stones forming linear structures underwater. Some researchers believe it may have been an ancient roadway or coastal construction. Mainstream archaeology dismisses these ideas, yet Hancock sees them as potential evidence of cities and monuments that existed before the last ice age and were lost to rising seas. Ancient maps add even more intrigue. The Piri Reis map, created in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral, appears to depict Antarctica's coastline without ice. Yet Antarctica has been ice-free only 6,000 to 12,000 years ago. How could a 16th century mapmaker know this? Hancock believes that ancient civilizations might have had global knowledge of geography, preserved and passed down over generations. Other old maps show surprisingly accurate depictions of the world, hinting at a lost era of advanced cartography. Artifacts further support Hancock's claims. The Baghdad Battery, for instance, is a clay jar with copper and iron components that could generate electricity. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek device, functions like an analog computer, capable of tracking planetary movements with incredible precision. Even in Egypt, precision-drilled granite cores show spiral patterns consistent with machine-assisted drilling. To Hancock, these artifacts suggest that humans in the distant past may have had knowledge and technology far beyond what conventional history acknowledges. Cultural evidence is another compelling angle. Myths and stories about floods, advanced beings, sky gods, and lost lands appear in cultures around the world, from Mesopotamia and Mesoamerica to India, Egypt, and Polynesia. Hancock interprets these similarities as fragments of memory from a global catastrophe that wiped out an earlier advanced civilization. Survivors may have shared knowledge with new generations, explaining the sudden emergence of sophisticated architecture, astronomy, and engineering in supposedly primitive cultures. As Hancock points out, the more we look around the world, the more connections appear. Massive stone structures, precise alignments, and engineering techniques are found on multiple continents. The similarities suggest more than coincidence. They hint at a global legacy of knowledge, passed down from a civilization that may have existed long before recorded history. Some researchers propose that methods like acoustic levitation, vibration-assisted cutting, or the use of magnetic fields could explain how these huge stones were moved and shaped. These ideas may sound unusual or even fringe, but they highlight a real problem. We don't have a full explanation for the level of skill ancient builders displayed. These patterns suggest that the story of human history may not be linear. Civilizations may have risen, fallen, and passed down knowledge multiple times over thousands of years. Monuments like the pyramids, Göbekli Tepe, and Sacsayhuaman could be surviving evidence of advanced societies that existed before the civilizations we traditionally study. Why the academic world resists. So why doesn't mainstream archaeology embrace these ideas? Hancock faces intense opposition. It's not just about evidence, it's about control. Academic archaeology is a structured field with strict rules. Careers, funding, publications, and tenure all depend on following accepted theories. Step outside these boundaries, and you risk being dismissed, ignored, or labeled a pseudoscientist. Hancock, as a journalist, bypasses these rules. He speaks directly to millions through books and documentaries. To the academic world, this is dangerous. It challenges the accepted narrative and threatens the authority of those who have spent decades building their careers around it. There's also fear. Admitting the possibility of a lost civilization forces a rewrite of history books and opens the door to alternative theories, flood myths, and speculative ideas. Many scholars see this as risky, even if the evidence is compelling. Hancock asks only for a fair evaluation, not blind belief. Some younger researchers are beginning to explore these questions, but top-level resistance remains strong. Hancock's work pushes us to rethink human history. The pyramids, the Sphinx, Göbekli Tepe, underwater ruins, precise stonework, ancient maps, and flood myths all suggest that civilization may have risen, fallen, and been rebuilt multiple times. History may not be a straight line. It could be cyclical, with knowledge gained, lost, and rediscovered. Whether you agree with Hancock or not, his work opens the mind. The pyramids are more than tombs or tourist sites. They're puzzles, messages, and challenges across millennia. They invite curiosity and careful study. Human history may be older, stranger, and more advanced than textbooks suggest. The pyramids could be messages left by a civilization that wanted to ensure its knowledge survived. Millions of people are captivated by these questions. Millions are asking, what if the official story is wrong? Perhaps the greatest mysteries of our past hold lessons for the future, if we are willing to look carefully, stay curious, and question what we think we know. So what do you think? Could humans really have been this advanced thousands of years ago? Or is there something we're still missing? Comment below and subscribe for more dives into the hidden truths of history. The pyramids are waiting. Will you answer their call? So, what's the truth behind the pyramids? Were they built by Pharaoh Khufu and his workers? Or were they the remnants of a forgotten civilization far older than we've ever imagined? Graham Hancock challenges everything we thought we knew, asking questions that most of us have never dared to ask out loud. The evidence is strange, compelling, and sometimes unsettling. From perfectly carved stones and underwater ruins to ancient maps and myths repeated across the globe, the clues point to a story far more complex than textbooks tell us. Maybe the pyramids weren't just monuments. They were messages, left to survive millennia, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. History, it seems, is not a neat line from past to present. It's a puzzle with pieces scattered across time, some lost, some hidden, and some still buried beneath the sands. And the pyramids? They stand as silent witnesses, daring us to look deeper, think bigger, and question everything we thought we knew about our origins. So here's the question for you. Will you keep seeing the pyramids as ancient tombs, or will you dare to see them as something more, a bridge to a lost world, a reminder that the past is far stranger, older, and more mysterious than we've been told? The secrets of the past are waiting, and the choice is ours, to keep looking, to keep questioning, and maybe, just maybe, to finally understand. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is hiding in the shadows of history? And don't forget to subscribe, because the story of humanity is far from over, and the mysteries are only just beginning.